Wake up, rise up, Mell be on the line. News, weather, truth, she delivers on time. Affirm your power, let the doubt unwind. Kickstart your soul, let your purpose shine. She don't just talk, she spark the flame from 7 to 8. She runs the game, Jamaica to New Orleans and all the world. The vibe don't sleep. Mell B drop gems while the world counts sheep. No fluff, no cap, just facts and fire. Affirmation flow that lifts you higher. Wake up, rise up, Mell B on the line. News, weather, truth, she delivers.
Grand Rising, my beautiful kings and queens. It's your girl, Mell B, and you're locked into Lux Radio Network. It's Wednesday, January 28th, Women in Business Wednesday. We are halfway through the week, so let's kickstart this week. Well, let's finish this week off right. On Wednesdays, we check our vitals. Are you running on fumes or are you running on fire? You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't lead a movement if you're exhausted. So today, if you want, take 5 minutes of just stillness. Peace is a prerequisite to productivity. All right, on to our affirmation of the day, and I read, my value is inherent. It is not defined by my productivity or my output. On hump day, we often feel behind. This is a vital reminder that we are worthy of rest and respect, even if we haven't finished our to-do list. You aren't a human doing, you're a human being. This lowers our anxiety levels and boosts our confidence. All right, on to our word of the day. Our word of the day is pragmatic, meaning dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. All right, our urban slang phrase of the day is secure the bag, meaning to successfully achieve a goal, specifically one that leads to financial gain, a promotion, or a major life milestone. This was popularized in the mid-2010s by Atlanta hip-hop culture, notably by artists like Gucci Mane and the Migos. The bag refers to a bag of money, but it has evolved to represent any significant professional achievement. All right, on to our news. U.S. national news headlines. Immigration surge leadership reshuffle. President Trump has reshuffled the leadership of the federal immigration enforcement surge in Minnesota following intense backlash over recent fatal incidents involving federal agents. Also, backlash over unknown liquid attack. Republican lawmakers are criticizing the aggressive tactics of new federal immigration forces while distancing themselves from the direct attacks on the administration, following an incident where Representative Ilha Omar was targeted at a town hall. And national tech labor shift. Major tech ripples continue as firms adjust to AI demand, mirroring international trends where record profits are being paired with significant workforce restructuring. All right, on to our C's. New York, a major gas explosion at a 17-story apartment building in the Bronx has left 1 alive and 14 injured. Investigations into the building's infrastructure are on the way. New York's community event of the day is Anthology Film Archive Screening, a special celebration of artist documentaries featuring Art 21 films starting at 7:30 p.m. this evening. In Los Angeles, the city is seeing a surge in new economy transit initiatives as local leaders debate further funding for automated shuttles in high traffic corridors. Los Angeles's community event of the day is In the Tune of Art, taiko drumming, an interactive world rhythm and percussion event at the Japan Foundation Los Angeles beginning at 7:30 p.m. this evening. Chicago, local immigration advocates are increasing pressure on city officials to expand sanctuary resources following the recent federal enforcement surges in the Midwest. Chicago's community event of the day is Chicago Families Support Gathering, a community creative event at Woody's Flat to support local families impacted by recent immigration enforcement actions. Atlanta. The Atlanta Tech Hub is reporting a 15% increase in venture capital flow for sustainable energy startups compared to this time last year. Atlanta's community event today is the 9th annual Sound Now Festival, a showcase of Atlanta's contemporary music scene at Florence Copleff Recital Hall, starting at 4 p.m. Houston. The city planners have unveiled a new Green Corridor initiative aimed at revitalizing the downtown area with sustainable public transit. Houston's community event today is the Houston Auto Show. The massive annual showcase kicks off today at the NRG Center, featuring the latest in electric and autonomous vehicle tech. Washington, D.C. Diplomacy is at the forefront as the administration responds to South Korean requests for expanded cultural exchanges following massive ticket demand for K-pop events. Washington, D.C.'s event of the day is the Smithsonian Evening Lecture Series, a public discussion on the evolution of 21st century diplomacy held at the National Museum of Art American History. Miami. International relations and art take center stages as the city's high-profile European dignitaries for a summit on cultural preservation. Miami's community event today is the Sophia Awards for Excellence. Her Majesty Queen Sofia of Spain is presiding over a major international gala at the Perez Art Museum, Miami, tonight. Tampa. The Silicon Bay initiative is expanding, with 2 more tech incubators set to open in the Ybor City district by the end of the quarter. Tampa's community event today is the Gasparilla Distillery Karaoke Night, a popular local social event at the Gasparilla Distillery and Cocktail Bar starting at 2 p.m. Newport Richey. Good morning, Dad. Pasco County officials are reviewing new urban development grants intended to modernize the historic downtown riverfront. Newport Richey's community event of the day is the Holocaust Remembrance and Reflection, a community panel and Learning to Unlearn workshop focused on dismantling social biases at the Sister Maria Cordis Ritchie Center. Milwaukee. Good morning, fam. The Commission on Aging is holding high-stakes policy priority sessions to address the needs of the city's growing elderly population. Milwaukee's community event of the day is the Garden Train Show, Modern Wonders. The Mitchell Park Domes is hosting a world tour model train expedition featuring miniature versions of the 7 wonders of the world. Vancouver. British Columbia's housing ministry is launching a new pilot program to fast-track middle-income co-op housing developments. Their community event there today is the Vancouver Winter Arts Festival, interactive light installations, and public art tours across the downtown core. Toronto. The Toronto Stock Exchange is seeing significant activity in the mining and green tech sectors as new federal subsidies take effect. Toronto's community event today is the Design TO Festival, a citywide celebration of design and art featuring window displays and gallery openings in the Junction District. Bless up, Jamaica. Kingston. The Jamaican rum industry is reporting a strong recovery and boom in global demand, despite the lingering effects of Hurricane Melissa on historic distilleries. Kingston's community event today is the National Gallery of Jamaica exhibit, a midday curator's talk on contemporary Caribbean identity and art. Montego Bay. The Tourism Board is reporting record high occupancy rates for the winter season, driven by a surge in active wellness travel. Montego Bay's community event is the Sunset Beach Volleyball Tournament, a daily organized community and visitor game at the Sunset Beach Resort, popular for local socializing. Ocho Rios. Environmental groups are celebrating the successful expansion of the marine protected areas along the northern coast. Ocho Rios' community event today is the White River Family Day, a traditional community gathering at the White River for swimming and local food vendors. Negril. Infrastructure updates for the West End Road are entering their final phase, aimed at improving pedestrian safety for the sunset tourism crowds. Negril's community event today is the Whoopies Hammock Social, the local gathering at Whoopies Park featuring ocean views and community storytelling. Cayman Islands. The financial sector is preparing for new transparency guidelines set to be implemented by the end of the fiscal year. Cayman Islands community event today is the Rum Point Community Swim, a tranquil morning gathering for local residents and visitors at the sheltered lagoons of Rum Point. Nassau, Bahamas. The Buckeye Bahamas Hub has made a significant $7,500 donation to the YMCA to bolster youth development programs in the region. Nassau's community event today is the Nassau Art Walk, a weekly guided tour of downtown's murals and local craft markets. Nigeria. Several military officers are set to stand trial following a probe into a recently uncovered coup plot against the current administration. Nigeria's community event today is the Brambleton Recreation Gathering, a community-led Valentine wreath making and craft social at the local center. And Ghana. The government has announced new initiatives for the Return to Ghana initiative, starting the diaspora for tech investment. Ghana community event today is the Accra Cultural Market, an open-air festival featuring Ghanaian textiles, food, and traditional drumming in the city center. All right, on to our weather. New York, sunny with a high of 23 and a low of 7. Los Angeles, cloudy during the day with a high of 73 and a low of 50. Chicago, sunny with a high of 16 and a low of 4. Atlanta, sunny with a high of 45 and a low of 27. Houston, clear with a high of 54 and a low of 32. Washington, D.C., sunny with a high of 39 and a low of 24. Miami, light rain with a high of 61 and a low of 51. Tampa, sunny with a high of 58 and a low of 35. Newport Richey, sunny with a high of 52 and a low of 37. Milwaukee, sunny with a high of 14 and a low of 1. Vancouver, cloudy with a high of 48 and a low of 41. Toronto, cloudy with a high of 17 and a low of 7. Kingston, light rain with a high of 81 and a low of 72. Ocho Rios, light rain with a high of 79 and a low of 70. Negril, sunny with a high of 81 and a low of 76. Cayman Islands, light rain with a high of 77 and a low of 73. Bahamas, mostly cloudy with a high of 71 and a low of 65. Nigeria, sunny with a high of 94 and a low of 69. And Ghana, sunny with a high of 100 and a low of 72. All right, on to sports. Morning, Ray. All right, in the NBA last night, we had the Knicks over the Kings, 103-87. Good morning. We had the Wizards over the Trailblazers, 115-111. The 76ers over the Bucks, 139-122. The Thunder over the Pelicans, 104-95. The Suns over the Nets, 106-102. The Pistons over the Nuggets, 109-107. And the Clippers over the Jazz, 115-103. In the NBA today, we have the Bills and the Pacers will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bally Sports and NBA League Pass. We also have the Lakers and the Cavaliers also at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will be on ESPN. We have the Hawks and the Celtics at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. They will be on NBC Sports Boston and Bally Sports. The Magic and the Heat will be at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, also on Bally Sports Sun in Florida. We have the Knicks and the Raptors are at 8:30 p.m. as well on MSG and TSN. We have the Hornets and the Grizzlies will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will be on FDSSE. The Timberwolves and the Mavericks play at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and they will be on ESPN. We have the Warriors and the Jazz at 10 p.m. They will be on NBC Sports Bay Area and KJZZ. And also the Spurs and the Rockets will be at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, and they will be on Space City Home Network and KENS. And in the Jamaican Premier League, today we have the Tivoli Gardens versus Treasure Beach. They will be at 3 p.m. on Sportsmax and TVJ Sports. This is a rescheduled game from week 12. Also, where they are going to have Mount Pleasant versus Arnett Gardens at 3 p.m. and they will also be on Sportsmax. This is another matchup game from earlier in the season. All right, on to our daily feature, which we all know is Women in Business Wednesday. And today's spotlight is on Pinky Cole, the slutty vegan empire. Today, we're shining a bright, unapologetic spotlight on a woman who took a $10,000 idea, a food truck, and a whole lot of hustle and turned it into a $100 million plus cultural movement. Her name is Pinky Cole. And if you don't know her story, buckle up because this is one masterclass in vision, branding, and Black entrepreneurial genius. Pinky Cole is the founder and CEO of Slutty Vegan, the plant-based burger brand that went from a late-night craving solution to a national phenomenon. But what makes Pinky's story powerful isn't the success, it's her journey. Pinky was born in Baltimore to a Jamaican mother and a father who was incarcerated the day she was born. She grew up understanding struggle, resilience, and the importance of creating her own opportunities. Before Slutty Vegan, she worked in TV production, opened a restaurant in Harlem, and lost it all in a devastating fire. Most people would have quit. Pinky reinvented herself. In 2018, she launched Slutty Vegan as a delivery service out of her apartment. No storefront, no investors, no fancy equipment, just a dream, a phone, and a recipe. When she bought her first food truck, she didn't sell burgers, she sold an experience. The name was bold, the branding was loud, the energy was electric, and the lines wrapped around the block. What Pinky understood early on is that business is not just about a product, it's about culture. She created a brand that felt like a party, a movement, a moment. She made vegan food fun, accessible, and sexy, especially for Black communities who are often left out of wellness conversations. Within months, Slutty Vegan exploded. Celebrities pulled up, social media went wild, locations opened across Atlanta. And Pinky became one of the youngest Black women to build a multi-million-dollar food empire from scratch. But here's the part that makes her extraordinary. Pinky Cole is a businesswoman with a mission. She uses her platform to hire formerly incarcerated people, pay off student loans, find scholarships and fund scholarships, and pour resources back into her community. Through the Pinky Cole Foundation, she's helped small businesses, supported families, and created pathways to generational wealth. In 2022, she released her cookbook, Eat Plants, Bitch, which became a bestseller. She's been featured in Forbes, Essence, and Time magazine. She's spoken at universities, partnered with major brands, and continues to expand Slutty Vegan nationwide. But the real lesson in Pinky's story is your setback is not your ending, it's your setup. She lost a restaurant, she lost money, she faced doubt, and she still built an empire that feeds people, empowers people, and inspires people. Pinky is proof that when you mix creativity with courage and purpose with personality, you can build something the world has never seen before. So today on Women in Business Wednesday, we honor a woman who didn't just build a brand, she built a legacy, a movement, a blueprint for every Black woman with a dream to dream bigger than her circumstances. So, Pinky Cole, we see you, we celebrate you, and we thank you for showing the world what happens when a woman decides to be unstoppable. All right, on to our book club where we are still reading The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter Woodson. We are on chapter 13, The New Type of Professional. In this chapter, Woodson explains the rise of the new class of Black professionals: doctors, lawyers, teachers, ministers, and business people who are educated in white-controlled institutions but disconnected from the needs of their own communities. He argues that miseducation created professionals who were technically trained but culturally detached, meaning they had degrees but lacked purpose, identity, and community responsibility. Woodson's message is clear: a professional who cannot serve their own people is not truly educated. So, to summarize, Woodson explains that many Black professionals were trained to imitate white professionals rather than innovate for Black communities. Their education taught them to look down on their own people, to believe white institutions were superior, to seek validation from outside their community, to avoid addressing Black social, economic, and cultural needs. And as a result, many Black professionals became doctors who didn't want to treat Black patients, lawyers who avoided civil rights cases, teachers who repeated whitewashed history, ministers who preached European theology without cultural relevance, business owners who ignored Black consumers. Woodson believed this was intentional. The educational system produced professionals who were qualified on paper but ineffective in practice because they lacked cultural grounding, historical understanding, and community commitment. He argued that true professionalism requires cultural competence, community loyalty, practical problem solving, economic empowerment, and service-based leadership. Woodson believes that until Black professionals reconnect with their people, the community would remain dependent on outside systems. So, how to apply this to your life? This chapter hits home today just as much as it did in 1933. Here's how Woodson's message applies to modern life. First, use your skills to uplift your community. Whether your profession is a teacher, nurse, entrepreneur, creator, or organizer, your gifts are needed. Your people need what you know. Second, stay culturally grounded. Education should expand your identity, not erase it. Stay connected to your roots, your history, and your community's needs. Third, don't chase prestige, chase purpose. Degrees, titles, accolades mean nothing if you don't translate them to impact someone. Woodson believed the highest form of professionalism is service. And four, build solutions that fit your community. Don't copy systems that were never designed for you. Innovate, adapt, create new models. And last, remember that representation is responsibility. If you're the first, the only, or the few in your field, your presence matters, but your service matters more. All right, on to our cause of the day. Today, we spotlight type 2 diabetes and nutritional equity. What is it? A chronic disease that affects the way the body processes blood sugar or glucose. With type 2, the body either resists the effects of insulin or doesn't produce enough to maintain normal glucose levels. So African American adults are 60% more likely than white adults to be diagnosed with diabetes. This isn't just about sugar, it's often about Tide fruit desserts and food swamps. When healthy food is inaccessible or unaffordable, the body pays the price in insulin resistance. So symptoms: increased thirst, frequent urination, unexplained weight loss, blurred vision, and slow healing sores, especially on the feet. So prevention and strategy: the plate method. Filling your plate with non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 with lean protein, 1/4 with healthy carbs. Just 150 minutes of brisk walking per week can reduce the risk of progression by nearly 58%. Resources on diabetes: you can contact the American Diabetes Association or the ADA. and the Association of Black Cardiologists, which focuses on the link between diabetes and heart health. Also, know your A1C number. It's a simple blood test that tracks your average blood sugar over 3 months. Knowledge is the first step to reversing this trend. All right, on to today in history. First up, we have the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster in 1986. In a moment that stopped the world, the Challenger broke apart in just 73 seconds into its flight. The mission was the mission was because it included Carissa Carliff, who was to be the first teacher in space. It remains a powerful lesson in scientific integrity and bravery of explorers. Second, the Lego brick is patented in 1958. Gottfried Kirk Christensen patented the iconic stud and tube interlocking design for Lego bricks. Before this, toy blocks just stacked. After this, they locked, allowing generations of children and adult fans of Legos to build whatever they could imagine. And third, honoring Zora Neale Hurston. Today, we remember the passing of the Queen of the Renaissance, a world-renowned author and anthropologist. Her work, especially Their Eyes Were Watching God, captured the soul, dialect, and resilience of Black life in the African-American South. All right, on to African-American history. First up, we have the USS Harmon, 1944. The U.S. Navy commissioned the USS Harmon, the first ship named in honor of a Black person, Leonard Roy Harmon. Harmon was a mess attendant who was awarded the Navy Cross for his extraordinary heroism in protecting his shipmates during the Battle of Guancolano. I know I'm not saying that right. Yeah. And also we have the incorporation of the AME Church. While the movement began earlier, the legal organization of the African Methodist Episcopal Church was a pivotal movement in Black autonomy. It was the first independent Protestant denomination to be founded by Black people, proving a sanctuary that wasn't just for worship, but for education and political organizing. All right, on to our African-American scientists and inventors. First up, we have Frederick McKinley Jones. He revolutionized the global food chain by inventing mobile refrigeration in 1940. His Thermo King units allowed trucks and trains to transport perishable food and blood plasma over long distances without spoiling. Without him, our modern grocery stores would not exist. Next up, we have Dr. Patricia Bath. She invented the laser phaco probe in 1986. This medical device uses lasers to quickly and painlessly dissolve cataracts and irrigate the eyes. Her invention has restored sight to thousands of people who had been blind for decades. She was the first Black female doctor to receive a medical patent. And last, Lonnie Johnson. While he is world famous for inventing the Super Soaker water gun, he is a literal rocket scientist. He worked for NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in the Galileo mission to Jupiter and the Cassini mission to Saturn. He currently holds over 100 patents, many focused on advanced green energy battery technology. All right, on to our Back to Roots segment, where we are still spotlighting empires. First up, we have the Kingdom of Kush, located in the Nile Valley, which is modern Sudan. Kush was a military and economic superpower that revitalized Egypt for centuries. They were famous for their Kandusis, and Kentuckys, powerful warrior queens who led armies into battle and governed with absolute authority. Next up, we have Ethiopia, the Solomonic dynasty. This dynasty claimed direct descendants from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Ethiopia is unique as one of the few nations to never be colonized, largely due to the strategic brilliance of its emperors. It remains the spiritual home of the Ark of the Covenant and the Raccoon churches of Lali Bello. Okay. And also we have Timbuktu, Center of Learning. During the Middle Ages, Timbuktu was the Silicon Valley of the world. The University of Sankore housed over 700,000 manuscripts covering medicine, astronomy, law, and mathematics. While Europe was in the Dark Ages, Timbuktu was lighting the world with the flame of African intelligence. All right, on to Down the Rabbit Hole. All right, this one is going to be a little interesting today because I went a little, maybe too far, but it's just for informational and educational purposes only. So the issue is the issue of warrantless searches in Minnesota during Operation Metro Surge is at the heart of the current legal battle between the state and the federal government right now. To understand why this is happening and if it's legal, we have to look at the gray zone where immigration law meets the Fourth Amendment. Normally, the Fourth Amendment protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. For a police officer to search your home, they generally need one, probable cause, evidence that a crime was committed, and two, a warrant, a piece of paper signed by a judge. A judge won't sign a warrant just because an officer has a hunch. They must provide probable cause, sworn evidence that a crime has likely been committed or the evidence of a crime is in a specific location. So why is ICE doing them without warrants? ICE agents often rely on administrative warrants rather than judicial warrants. So administrative warrants, these are signed by an ICE official, not a judge. They give agents the authority to arrest someone for immigration violations, but they do not give them the legal right to enter your private home or business without consent. The consent tactic, agents often use knock and talk methods. If a person opens the door and the agent steps inside, or if the person moves to the side, the agent may claim they were given implied consent to enter. Is it legal? There's a specific federal regulation that ICE and Border Patrol use to justify searches without warrants in places like Minnesota. First, the 100-mile rule. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, federal agents have the authority to board vehicles and search for undocumented individuals within a reasonable distance from any external boundary of the United States. The definition, federal regulations define reasonable distance as 100 air miles. The catch, because the entire state of Minnesota is within 100 miles of the Canadian border or Lake Superior, the federal government argues that agents have expanded powers to operate throughout the state. The legal conflict, the Minnesota lawsuit. Attorney General Keith Ellison's 2026 lawsuit argues that while the 100-mile rule exists, it does not override the Constitution. The state's argument is based on 2 points. First, home sanctity. The Supreme Court has historically ruled that the house is a castle. Even within 100 miles of a border, agents generally still need a judicial warrant or circumstances, like chasing a fleeing suspect to enter a private residence. Profiling. The lawsuit alleges that Operation Metro Surge is using racial profiling to stop vehicles and entering homes, which is a violation of the 14th Amendment, which is equal protection. The Fourth Amendment is basically the mind your business amendment. It tells the government, if you want to look through my pockets, my car, my front door, you need more than a badge. You need a judge's signature and a real reason. Knowing this is your superpower because it is the search. Because if the search is illegal, the evidence they find usually cannot be used against you in court. So why it matters in Minnesota right now. In the context of the ICE crisis, The big debate is whether an administrative warrant, which is signed by an ICE boss, counts as a real warrant under the Fourth Amendment. Most legal experts say no. It doesn't give them the right to enter your home like a judicial warrant, which is signed by a judge. So here's the breakdown of how defending yourself works in the face of an administrative warrant. You have the absolute right to defend the privacy of your home against an administrative warrant, because an administrative warrant is not signed by a judge. It does not give an agent the legal authority to force their way into your home. The defense, you defend yourself by keeping the door closed. The right to refuse. You can tell the agents, I do not consent to a search. I will not open the door unless you have a warrant signed by a judge. Please slide it under the door or hold it up to the window. If they enter anyway without a judicial warrant or a certain circumstance, like I said, like chasing a suspect inside, they have violated the Fourth Amendment. Your defense then moves to the courtroom, where your lawyer can file to have any evidence found thrown out. All right, then there's the second way, the danger of physical defense. While the Fourth Amendment protects your privacy, the law is very strict regarding physical resistance against law enforcement officers, even if they are acting unlawfully. In almost every state, including Minnesota, physically resisting an offer, even an ICE agent, can lead to felony charges like assault on a federal officer or obstructing justice. Physical resistance often leads to an escalation of force. In the two cases of the two people that have been unalived, the situations escalated into fatal unalivings. Law enforcement is trained to respond to physical resistance with superior force. Courts generally rule that you should comply now and sue later, even if the search is 100% illegal. If you physically fight back, the court may still uphold charges against you for the fight itself, regardless of whether the agent should have been there or not in the first place. Then there's the strategic defense. The safest and most effective way to defend yourself against an administrative warrant is what activists call know your rights defense. Document everything. Use your phone to record the interaction. This is your best weapon in court. Also, stay silent. Aside from stating you do not consent to the search, you have the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And witnesses. If possible, have neighbors or family members observe and record from a safe distance. So the bottom line, if an agent shows you a paper at the door, check the signature. If it's signed by a judge, you must comply. If it's an administrative warrant, you have the right to keep your door closed and refuse entry. All right, on to our fact or fiction. We are still in Government Shadows Week. First up, we have Acoustic Kitty. The claim here is the What Were You Thinking project. In the 1960s, the CIA spent roughly $20 million, which is over $150 million today, trying to turn a house cat into a mobile eavesdropping device. I'm sorry. I just don't know where they come up with these things. All right. So it was surgeons implanted a microphone in the cat's ear canal, a small radio transmitter at the base of its skull, and then a thin wire antenna into its fur. The goal was to let the cat wander near Soviet diplomats in parks and record their conversations. The result, on the first field test, the cat was released to eavesdrop on two men that were on a sidewalk talking and was almost immediately struck, and it was unalived by a taxi. So was this fact or fiction? This was fact. The project existed in the 1960s. Our tax dollars, I tell you. All right, second, I have Havana syndrome. The claim is starting in 2016 in Havana, Cuba, U.S. and Canadian diplomats began reporting bizarre physical symptoms, including sudden pressure in the head, nausea, vertigo, and piercing directional noises. Grand Rising, Jessica. The symptoms were chronic headaches, cognitive fog, and even brain tissue damage similar to concussions. The theories posted microwave energy. The leading theory for years was a targeted sonic weapon used by foreign adversaries. So the current status is in 2023, US intelligence agencies concluded it was very unlikely for a foreign adversary was responsible for this, though many victims still feel the government is downplaying the real attack. So was this fact or fiction? It's unverified and ongoing. While the injuries are real, the US intelligence community is divided on whether it's a foreign energy weapon or a psychological environment phenomenon. I tell you. Last up, we got the Men in Black. The claim, long before Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, the MIB were a staple of US UFO folklore starting in the late 1940s. Usually described as 2 or 3 men wearing dark, out-of-date suits driving black Cadillacs. They show up at the homes of UFO witnesses shortly after a sighting. They are often described as robotic or uncanny, sometimes with pale skin and a lack of eyebrows. They don't usually, just had a visual. They don't usually use violence, they use intimidation, telling witnesses to keep their mouths shut or bad things will happen. Skeptics believe that they were actually government agents, Air Force or CIA, trying to discourage people from talking about classified environmental aircraft. Paranormal fans think they are something much weirder. So, is this fact or fiction? It's unverified. While the movies are fiction, hundreds of real reports date back in the 1950s, notably Albert Bennett's case, the first person to report a Men in Black encounter in 1953. He claimed to have the secret to UFOs, was visited by 3 men, and was so scared he shut down his whole entire organization overnight. Most researchers believe they are either government agents or a shared social hallucination. Those are the government shadows, y'all. All right, on to our tech tip of the day, which is the tech replacement productivity hack. So create shortcuts for your most used phrases, emails, addresses, and links. Why? Stop typing out long email addresses or your business bio every time you have to share it with someone. You can set a shortcut like @ sign to automatically expand into your full email address. So how do you do this? You go to your settings, hit general, hit keyboard, and hit text replacement. Hit the plus sign and turn my email into your actual address. It saves hours of typing over a year. And our finance tip of the day is high interest debt avalanche versus a snowball. Choose a category for your debt rather than paying randomly. Choose a strategy for your debt rather than paying randomly. The snowball method, paying the smallest balance first, builds psychological momentum. The avalanche method, paying the highest interest rate first, saves you the most money in the long run. So list your debts. If you're stressed, do the snowball for a quick win. If you're disciplined, do the avalanche to stop the bleeding from high interest. All right, our fun fact of the day is the scent of the stars. Outer space has a very specific and meaty smell. While we can't breathe in the vacuum of space, astronauts returning from spacewalks consistently report a distinct odor on their suits and gear once the airlock is repressurized. They describe the scent of the universe as a mixture of seared steak, hot metal, and welding fumes. This is caused by high energy vibrations in particles called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, that float around the cosmos. All right, and our fun holiday of the day is it's Data Privacy Day. This is an international holiday that commemorates the 1981 signing of the Convention 108, the first legally binding international treaty dealing with privacy and data protection. It's designed to raise awareness about how our personal information is used in the digital age. While it sounds technical, it's really about digital sovereignty. It's a day to change your passwords, check your privacy settings, and be mindful of what you share online. It's Mind Your Business Wednesday, and that includes your digital business. Protect your data like you protect your peace. Lock those digital doors. All right, on to our daily quote. And I read, the only difference between a hero and a villain is that the villain chooses to use that power in a way that is selfish and hurts other people. This quote comes from Chadwick Boseman. As we hit the midweek hump, remember that your influence is a superpower. Choose to use your platform to build up, not tear down. All right, on to our music and entertainment segment. The Piano Takeover. For the first time in 2026, an Piano track has topped the global top 50. Originating in the townships of South Africa, Piano, Zulu for the pianos, is a hybrid of deep house, jazz, and lounge music characterized by its long drum bass lines. It has officially moved from a niche sound to a global staple. All right. And also 2026 is seeing a record number of Black-led and Black-written plays on Broadway. Industry experts are calling this the second Harlem Renaissance of theater, shifting away from the trauma stories toward Black joy, sci-fi, and romance. All right. Now, our celebrity gossip today, we have the botanical secret. Yara Shahidi has been sporting a new, incredibly defined natural curl pattern. And insiders say it's thanks to her own upcoming botanical line. Black hair care is a billion-dollar industry, and there is a 2026 movement towards clean beauty and ancestral ingredients using ancestral ingredients like hibiscus and baobab, without the harsh chemicals of the past. Excuse me. Also, we have the R&B Renaissance collab. Rumors are flying that Victoria Monet and Usher were seen leaving the same studio in Las Vegas. The word is that they are recording a duet album, remnants of the Motown era. This reflects the 2026 surge in traditional R&B, where vocal arrangements and live instrumentation are beating out computerized mumble tracks. And also we have gymnastics GOAT Simone Biles was reportedly seen in deep conversation with the heads of a major French jewelry house. Whispers saying she's designing a championship collection featuring ethnically sourced African diamonds. Black athletes are increasingly leveraging their global visibility to enter the high-end luxury jewelry market, historically a very exclusive space. All right, on to our celebrity birthdays. Today we got J. Cole is 41, Rick Ross is 50, Rakim is 58. You don't know these people is this old. Also, Tyra Farrell is 64. Andre Tyler is 42. Anthony Cornelius Hamilton. Anthony Hamilton is 55. Freddie Ross, aka Big Freedia, is 48. And Bishop Marvin Sapp is 59. Also, Sister Soldier is 62. And Andrea Kelly, R. Kelly's ex-wife, it's her birthday today too. All right, on to our lifestyle segment. Our soul food recipe today is garlic butter, green beans, and potatoes, a nutrient-dense side dish rich in fiber, vitamin C, and potassium. Our drink of the day is hibiscus ginger cooler. It supports heart health, and ginger aids digestion. Men, your health tip of the day is prioritize sleep. 7 to 9 hours reduces stress hormones and improves testosterone levels. So get some sleep, fellas. Your fashion tip of the day is midweek shoe refresh. Wipe down your shoes. Clean footwear elevates your entire look. Women, our health and beauty tip of the day is hydrate your skin midweek. Use higher. I can never say this word. Hyaluronic, hyaluronic. Y'all know what word I'm trying to say, right? Acid serum boosts moisture retention. Women's fashion today: midi skirts for comfort and style, flattering, versatile, and perfect for winter layering. Although it's cold outside, I don't know if y'all want to put no skirt on today. All right, our household chore of the day is clean out the fridge. Remove expired items and wipe down your shelves. This reduces odor and food waste. All right, women, our auto mechanics 101 for today is check your oil level. Use the dipstick to ensure oil is between the markers. Low oil can damage your engine. So make sure you get out there and check that oil stick. All right, relationship advice for couples today. Do a midweek check-in. How are you feeling? How can I support you this week? Friendships, respect boundaries. Can I say that again? Respect boundaries. Healthy friendships honor personal space. And family, share a midweek gratitude moment at dinner. And on to our Before They Were Legends. Spotlighting today is Oprah Winfrey. Before Oprah became a billionaire media mogul, she was a little girl from Kosciuszko, Mississippi, raised in poverty and surrounded by instability. She endured childhood trauma, bounced between homes, and wore dresses made from potato sacks. She also had a gift, a voice that carried truth, empathy, and connection. At 19, she became the youngest and the first Black female news anchor in Nashville. She was told she was too emotional for news. That flaw became her superpower. Her authenticity reshaped daytime television, built an empire, and turned her into one of the most influential women in the world. What people criticize you may be the very thing that crowns you. Remember that. All right, last but not least, our daily horoscopes. As always, we start with Aries. Analyze your relationship with material things. Do they own you or do you own them? Your lucky numbers for today are 9, 18, and 27. Taurus, a message from a distant relative brings a smile to the whole house. Your lucky numbers today are 5, 14, and 23. Gemini, get back in touch with your imaginative side. A brainstorm today leads to a breakthrough. Your lucky numbers today are 7, 16, and 25. Cancer, uncover your armor. You are stronger than you feel in this moment. Lucky numbers for you today, Cancer, are 4, 13, and 22. Leo, surrender the need to control others. Saturn is teaching you to find peace in flow. Your lucky numbers today are 1, 19, and 37. Virgo, a project you've been fiddling with might suddenly go viral. Keep polishing it. Your lucky numbers today are 6, 15, and 33. Libra, financial influence is your theme. You can benefit someone directly with a referral. Your lucky numbers today are 8, 17, and 26. Scorpio, listen and cooperate. The answer you need is in the advice of a trusted peer. Your lucky numbers today are 2, 11, and 29. Sagittarius, ask for what you need. The odds are in your favor for equipment or support. Your lucky numbers today are 3, 21, and 30. Capricorn, spend a little time on fun today. Romance and recreation are well deserved. Your lucky numbers today are 10, 28, and 46. Aquarius, ingenuity is calling your card. Solve a status quo problem with a fresh tech idea. Your lucky numbers today are 11, 33, and 55. And Pisces, use feedback to refine your approach. A gentle critique is an actual gift. Your lucky numbers today are 7, 16, and 43. At this time, I would like to thank our sponsors. First up, we have Bellow Burn Hot Sauce. Bold taste, big kick. Bellow Burn keeps the city spicy. RAS Herbals, natural remedies, real results. RAS Herbals keeps the community grounded. Colorane Candles, soft light, strong energy. Colorane Candles elevates every space. And Universal Madness, official sponsor of the Chief and Go show. Style with a statement, Universal Madness keeps the culture fitted. In announcements tonight, for today, don't forget to watch Women Unscripted tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Lux Radio Network on all platforms except TT and on luxradio.com. All right, we made it through the middle of the week. Take a breath, unclench your shoulders, and honor how far you've come. Today's progress counts, even if it was quiet. Rest up, reset, and meet me back here tomorrow morning. This is your girl, Mell B, saying stay looking fly, stay grounded in your own truth, and don't let nobody tilt your crown. Period.